Well, there's a lot to unpack on this one as Ubisoft's CEO blames Disney's brand for Star Wars Outlaws' sales disaster. They've, of course, torched the brand of Star Wars. We do know this to be the case, and that is 100% for sure a part of it. But Ubisoft's also torched its own brand. That's where they're like, holy crap, are they even paying attention to what's going on? And I don't think so. Let's get into this news in just a moment as we talk about all things science fiction and fantasy, my friends. This is the sci-fi and fantasy news. Oh my gosh, you remember the Space Karen last year, just how big of a deal that was? Hilarious stuff. It didn't go anywhere for Ubisoft, and of course, like none of their games have recently. But we've been building Fandom Pulse, which is important because we have an alternative in the entertainment news space covering movies, video games, comics, tabletop games, and more that nobody else does as we talk about these evil corporations and what they're doing to our society by pushing the DEI agenda across everything. Now, a lot of different companies started this sort of thing and, of course, abandoned that to try to play for some Google algorithm stuff, and we didn't. We actually stayed the course and are still calling it like it is, and, of course, having some very interesting content that a lot of people don't have. We do have an exclusive interview with the Girl Genius webcomic creators this morning. This is pretty cool. That's one of my favorite webcomics, and I was very, very proud to be able to get them on the blog here. So this is stuff to see, and it's on Substack because it's a free speech platform that doesn't rely on the algorithm again. Algorithms change, and as if you noticed, a lot of your like anti-woke influencers who were in the video game space and the like really pivoted their channels trying to just be general gaming stuff this year and trying to focus on that kind of thing because like the Google algorithm has screwed up everybody on a lot of levels. They've pretty much nuked every anti-establishment channel, including this one, which is fine. But I'm glad we started this Fandom Pulse ahead of times because we really staved off a big problem there. And so this is where you guys need to be. Substack's so important. I actually posted my video review of the James Gunn Superman movie yesterday because, again, the algorithm doesn't like to show this, so this helped out quite a bit. And, I'm testing more of this because if you want more video content over here, we can start doing that. It's important, of course, that we make everybody happy. But I like written content, of course, because I'm a writer. That's what I do first. So check this out, fandompulse.com in the description below. I've also got a newsletter I'd like you to sign up for. Just important to make sure I don't lose you these days because everything's so algorithm-driven, and that's why stuff is changing at a rapid rate in these circles. So thanks for being here, guys. All right, so Ubisoft, again, blames Disney for their problems here. Now, if you don't know, Star Wars Outlaws came out last year. They made a smuggler, but instead of doing a Han Solo or a Dash Rendar, do you guys remember Dash Rendar? If you do, leave that comment because I want to hear from you. Those are my OG people, Dash Rendar fans. Where are you at, my friends? Instead of doing that, they put a Space Karen in there, and this Space Karen was one of those uglified people that, of course, we see in all these like feminist and modern video games that is just not a compelling protagonist and is not something people are going to resonate with. I don't know what they're trying to do. They're trying to appeal to like the wine ant demographic, I guess, for everything. I made a post about this morning on X if you don't follow me there, which you should. And this is an example of really what it is. Every boy's action property, they're gearing towards like this. They try to do this. My pretty, pretty predator. So pretty, so much fun. Feed her milk, comb with removable helmet. It's like, this is what they want. They want every men's property to be a girl's property. And you see this not just with Ubisoft Star Wars. Of course, you see this with Disney Star Wars as well. When they did Ahsoka, it was the same thing. They're these women in their spaceships talking about their space cats. It's like, this is exactly what they did for the show, and this is why that show really took a while to take off. I watched the whole thing. It was not terrible. Ahsoka wasn't that bad. But it took some time for it to actually get good because like the first few episodes were geared towards this kind of thing. That hurt the brand. We also know that there was one other last year that came out about the time when this did that really sank the brand because they went full on DEI with this, and it was an absolute train wreck on every level from attacking the fans if you remember her Instagram song where she's like, "We don't give a F about your discourse." And that was really rough. And then, of course, they blamed the fans, saying everybody was toxic and the like. Didn't do well. So, the Star Wars brand is in the worst shape it's ever been, and it's all because of the rampant DEI, the rampant feminism that's gone on. But, again, Ubisoft, you are responsible for this, too. This Space Karen is the same thing that they're doing on the Disney side. If you put in Han Solo at the core of this, you might have sold some more copies. If you even did Dash Rendar, I mean, my gosh. You know what? Here's a secret. The fans love underutilized characters that are like references to cool things that they like. Again, I want you. Do you guys remember that back in the day? I'm that back in the day. I'm kind of old. I'm dating myself here for sure. But they do like that. If you make that kind of leap and reference like that, you just like won over the hardcore fans like immediately by doing that. It's a very simple thing, but these people don't understand the properties they work on. That's of course why they fail so much. So this is what he said in the recent investor call. He says they asked, "What have you learned from the future of Outlaws in terms of sales? Have you learned anything in terms of new pricing, in terms of marketing?" Now, this is pretty interesting right here because a lot of AAA games failed last year very, very badly. And a lot of what's going on is gamers are rejecting the price point of a lot of these games. They're moving up to $80, $100. I think the Star Wars Outlaws collector's edition was just severely overpriced, and they screwed the gamers in the process. If you don't remember this bit, this was really, really hilarious. You got some early access if you got their little collector's edition, right? Well, the early access had a bug because the game was so buggy. And it was, again, you have the problem with the space carrying. You've got really buggy. You've got terrible combat. You've got a storyline that really doesn't matter. And then this type of thing happens where when you played for your whatever, it doesn't matter how many hours you had, when they ran their patch, which they forced you to do the patch in order to continue past a point in the game, so you can't not do the patch, you would lose your progress on all of that. And so you might be 20, 30 hours into a game, gone, wiped out. And so a lot of gamers at that point just go, nope, I'm not playing this anymore. And that's exactly what happened here. So here's what they said on here. The CEO says, "We didn't reach our sales targets." Yeah, no shit. The game suffered from a number of items. First, it suffered from the fact that it was released at a time when the brand that it belonged to was in a bit of choppy waters. Well, yeah, you said that, and you try to put that blame as it is, and that is certainly true. As I said, I covered how bad the brand is over at Disney over there, and of course their numbers are really down because of what they're doing with the brand. But if you did things right with the brand, it probably would have brought the brand back. If anything, gaming is actually more important, I would imagine, at this juncture than a Disney Plus TV show. A big Ubisoft AAA game could actually impact more people. And if you had a great game, buzz would have been around this, and it might have even been enough to save Star Wars. I really think that's the truth of where we're at in the culture at this juncture. Now, it takes two to tango. We understand this. But the Ubisoft brand is also something that it belongs to that is in choppy waters. And I guess he doesn't name Disney. Maybe he believes that maybe he's talking about Ubisoft here right now, right? Because if you look at it, Ubisoft has released a bunch of DEI crap. They did a terrible job with this. And then, of course, there's Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I just saw they posted today, being like, it's reached 5 million players, right? I love how they are posting these players rather than sales because the sales are probably around 1 million or 2 million, which is not enough to pay for these AAA games, and that's why, of course, Ubisoft's in trouble. That's why they're getting these questions from investors that are causing lots of problems for them at this juncture. So this is massive cope. And yes, there's two brands that are in the toilet, and the problem is Ubisoft as a brand does not speak to quality gaming at this juncture. It speaks to buggy gaming. It speaks to half-baked gaming. It speaks to this like open world nonsense that like it just kind of copies other things like Red Dead Redemption 2, but not as good. And that's it. And so that's where your game plays at, and that's a ho-hum in a galaxy far, far away. You have to do something special. You have to make it good, and that is what these people are missing the point on. Now, on Outlaws, we can say that the 3 title updates we've delivered from the same time have been observing substantive positive community sentiment improvement. This is such corporate speak right here. So they've got updates, they've got more stuff, they've got downloadable content, of course, and all that, of course, is not bringing in new players so much as it's just keeping some players who were already in on this as a part of it. The biggest update is still to come November 21st, and it will come the same day as a big story pack and a launch for Steam. We're putting ourselves in a position to have must-play game that should address the mainstream audience for a busy season. Well, it's a little late. I mean, you're a year into it at this point, and the buzz on this has way dropped off, and it never existed. Look at this all-time peak that they had back in the day, 834 players. Big disaster right there, and that's a massive problem. It just shows that nobody was interested in this game, and you can tell why. Like I said, I already said it at the beginning of the video. It's Ubisoft itself. It's their brand. It's not just Disney. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to follow Fandom Pulse on the Substack for your entertainment news. This is great. I'm very, very happy to report that our views are now bigger than Bounding Into Comics, bigger than That Park Place. We have, of course, got everybody by just telling the truth, sticking to it, and working really hard. And that's what builds a brand, Ubisoft. That's what does it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for reading. Get on this. Get on my newsletter in the description below. Appreciate you being here. And Dash Rendar fans, let me know.